Introducing YouTube memberships, a fun way to support the channel while getting some exclusive perks. Click the join button to become a member now and get benefits like badges next to your name on videos, behind-the-scenes photos, advantages during the live trivia game, discounts on merchandise, private one-on-one video chats, the ability to request future video topics, and exclusive 8 to 10 minute videos on the history of the NFL. And now, on with our feature presentation. Yep, we're actually doing this again. I know Mike McCarthy got the win. I know the offense is clicking. I know the Cowboys are 9-3. I know the Cowboys are one of the top 5 teams in football at this very moment. But come on! This was such low-hanging fruit that I had to do it. You knew I had to do it. Did it end up mattering in the long run? No, not really. Did it end up changing my opinion on Mike McCarthy? Considering the fact that my opinion on him as an in-game manager is already in the toilet? No, not really. But was it absolutely moronic and hysterical to the point where it deserves a deep dive? Oh, you bet. Oh, you freaking bet. I'm not going to dive into the background of the game from a historical standpoint and give that context, because I did that in the last video I did on McCarthy. But by this point in the game, at least it was early on. This is what I thought the episode of Dumb Decisions was going to be to lead off, before McCarthy somehow one-upped himself at the end of the game. Here's the situation. In this battle between the Dallas Cowboys and the Seattle Seahawks, about 10 minutes have gone by in the contest, and it looks like we've got a good old-fashioned shootout on our hands. As 3 drives into the game, the Cowboys lead at 10-7, with the 2 teams exchanging touchdowns. Now following a touchback, the Seahawks get the ball back with 4:48 left in the first quarter at the 25-yard line. First down, and Geno Smith's pass to Tyler Lockett goes for no gain. Good stand by the Cowboys to start off. Second down, and the Seahawks get 3 yards on another Geno Smith completion. However, as was the case throughout a lot of this contest, there was some dirty laundry on the field. Throw the penalty flag, offensive holding on DK Metcalf. Push the Seahawks back 10 yards from the spot of the hold, so make it 2nd and 19 at the 16-yard line. Make it second and very long. Make it a tough situation for Seattle, and really put them behind schedule. Make it...
Direction. Dallas has elected to decline that previous penalty. This will bring up 3rd down.
Wait a second. Timeout. No, you didn't. You didn't just decline the penalty, did you? You didn't just decline the penalty to make it 3rd and 7, right? Now, instead of needing 19 yards on 2 plays, they only need 7 yards on 1 play. Did you pass math class? Why did you think this was a good idea? Why did you decline the penalty? Mike McCarthy, why did you decline the penalty?
2nd and 19 to 3rd and 7. Let's see what happens. Here's another flag. The catch is Tyler Lockett holding it in.
Welcome to Dumb Decisions. Before I break down what happened here, this whole series is about taking an in-depth look at decisions made during games that were clearly awful from the start. This isn't something to look bad in hindsight. Rather, this is something to look awful almost immediately. These are moves where your gut instinct tells you right away that there is no way this can possibly work. And sure enough, your gut instinct was smarter than that of an NFL head coach. And for this one, we're taking a look at the mind of Dallas Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy. Good old Mike McCarthy. It's actually kind of impressive that the Cowboys won this game, considering the fact that Mike McCarthy seemed determined to screw his own team over at every turn. He's doing a great job with the offense, and no one can deny that. But when it comes to actual in-game management decisions, where he has to think about numbers, whether it be a clock or a down, and he has a decision to make, he is completely inept, and always finds a way to get it wrong. Heck, this isn't even the first episode of Dumb Decisions I made on him from this game alone, as his decision to throw the football in the 4th quarter instead of letting the clock run was one of the most moronic decisions I've seen a coach make all season. You can learn more about that by clicking the card in the upper right corner. But this decision deserves a ton of scrutiny too, because this decision made no sense no matter how you want to slice it. So with that being said, let's take a look at why declining a penalty to bring up 3rd down instead of accepting a penalty to bring up 2nd down is a really bad idea. Now, this is a case-by-case basis. Sometimes, the right call in one spot is the wrong call in another spot. For example, if the other team is pinned inside their own 20, and you're faced with a decision to make it 4th and 5 or 3rd and 15, it's obvious that you make it 4th and 5. However, if the other team is at the 35-yard line, maybe it makes more sense to make it 3rd and 15, so that if you get a stop, you can push them out of field goal range. It's a case-by-case basis. Heck, sometimes there are no right answers. 2nd and 10 versus 1st and 15 is a common one, where when you do the math, it really makes no difference in terms of yards needed per play, and you can go either way on that. I'm fully cognizant of that fact. I fully realize that this has to be evaluated on a case-by-case basis, because there are definitely times where making a 3rd and 7 instead of 2nd and 19 is actually the right call. Heck, I can give you an example of that right now. Let's say there's 20 seconds left in the first half, and the ball is at your own 40-yard line. Odds are, the opposing team is going to try and go past the sticks every time, simply because there's not a lot of time left. Make it 2nd and 19, and you give them 2 chances to do this. Heck, you might even give them 3 chances, because if enough time comes off the clock on the first 2 plays, they might have time to run a Hail Mary, where the worst case scenario if it fails is that the clock is at 000 anyway. At 3rd and 7, you'll only give them 1 chance to do it, because if they fail to get it on 3rd and 7, they're not going for it on 4th and 7 from that spot. It's way too risky, and it can give you great field position. Again, case-by-case basis. Having said that, there are times where a coach makes the objectively wrong call, and where it makes no sense as to why the coach made the decision with the penalty in question. And that absolutely applies here. The goal of any sequence of events on a football field is to get a first down. At its simplest concept, football is a game broken up into 10-yard increments, where the goal is to keep getting increments of 10 yards until you physically cannot get any more. So you have to ask yourself with this, doing simple math, what gives you the best chance of stopping the other team from getting that first down? In the first option, where you accept the penalty, it's 2nd and 19. The Seahawks are not going for it under any circumstances, so let's assume that they only have 2 plays to reach the sticks. They need 19 yards on 2 plays. Do some simple math, and divide the numbers 19 and 2, and you get 9.5, meaning that the Seahawks, on these 2 plays, need to average 9.5 yards per play to get the first down. Otherwise, if they don't, you get the ball back. In the second option, where you decline the penalty for some reason, it's 3rd and 7. This means that they need 7 yards on 1 play. Do some simple math, that even if you were a first grader who hadn't learned division by this point, you would know, and divide the numbers 7 and 1. And shocker, you get 7. Meaning that the Seahawks on this play need to pick up 7 yards to get the first down. Now, if you're a defense, it makes logical sense to assume that the more yards per play that a team needs in order to convert, the better it is for you guys. It's just common sense. You trust your defense a heck of a lot more if it's 3rd and 13 versus if it's 3rd and 1. You trust your defense a lot more if it's 2nd and 25 versus 2nd and 2. And the reason why is because the average yards per play is significantly higher in one of those. So let's think about this, because this is not one of those special scenarios where you have to worry about the clock, or worry about it being 4-down territory, or worry about field goal range, or anything like that. Under the first option where you accept the penalty, the Seahawks need 9.5 yards per play. Under the second option where you decline the penalty, the Seahawks need 7 yards per play. You want to pick the bigger number. So let's play a game. Which number is bigger? 9.5 or 7? 9.5 or 7?
Great!
Good job! It's true! 9.5 is bigger than 7. In fact, 9.5 is a number that is larger than 7 by 2.5, which is a fairly big amount. The fact that you got that is impressive, because it not only means that you at least have a preschool education, but it also means that you're more qualified to make these decisions in the middle of a game than Mike freaking McCarthy! I mean, seriously, What are we doing here? All you had to do was pick the larger number. This is supposed to be the easy part of the job. This is the effortless part. This is the part where you don't have to think whatsoever. Just pick the number that is bigger. And somehow, you chose the exact opposite. It's actually kind of amazing how you botched this when I'm not sure there's another coach that would be dumb enough to botch it. And shocker, it resulted in a first down. It kept the drive going and looked just as stupid after the fact as it did in real time. Which is to say, really freaking stupid. No one asked Mike McCarthy about this after the game. In fact, no one asked Mike McCarthy anything after the game besides stuff about how individual players played, as there was no talk whatsoever in the 9-minute press conference about any sort of strategy or in-game decision-making. But I would love to hear his justification for why he thought that 7 was a larger number than 9.5, because if he genuinely thought that, he might have to hit the books and go back to school over this extended break. You've got 10 days to get ready for Philadelphia. If you don't learn your number line by that point, I can't help you, man. I just can't help you. And like I said in the last video I did about the game between these two teams behind me right here, yes, I know that the Cowboys won the game. And yes, I know that in the long run, this decision did not end up mattering. But that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter to me. I've done double dumb decisions episodes before on coaches that won games. Heck, I did one on Dennis Allen with the New Orleans Saints a few weeks ago after that atrocity he had against the Chicago Bears, even though the Saints somehow won that game. You can learn more about that by clicking the card in the upper right corner. And between the pass at the end of the game and this awful decision with the penalty acceptance, Mike McCarthy absolutely deserves that here. This was a fun game. Cowboys Seahawks was one of the best games of the season and one of the best primetime games of the year. Heck, maybe the best primetime game of the year. The slate's been abysmal otherwise. But this game also featured a plethora of dumb decisions on both sides of the ball. The Cowboys made some, the Seahawks made some, and Mike McCarthy, to the shock of no one, was one of the people involved in this, because holy cow, this game was a mess for him from a management standpoint. So what do we learn from all of this? If you're faced with a situation where you need to pick the higher number, then pick the higher number. If you see 7 of something, and you see 9.5 of something, you should know that 9.5 of something is larger than seeing 7 of something. 9.5 years is a longer time period than 7 years. $9.50 is more than $7. 9.5 years old is older than 7 years old. Maybe if Lucas Graham said in their song, "Once I was 9.5 years old," we could have avoided this mess in the first place. And if you don't know how to read a number line, then maybe you need to reevaluate how you make decisions over the course of a game, especially when you continue to make decisions like this on a year-to-year basis. Because when all of these elements are in play, you can't exactly be surprised when this play backfires. Talk about a dumb decision. Get your official Jaguar Gear 9 merchandise by going to jj9shop.com, and be sure to like and subscribe, as it really helps the channel out a lot. Join me every Wednesday night where we'll play NFL Trivia for cash prizes at 9 p.m. Eastern over on Twitch. To learn more about the history of college football, subscribe to Jaguar Gator 8. To learn more about the history of Major League Baseball, subscribe to Jaguar Gator 7. Also, special thanks to all of our Patreon supporters for helping out the channel. Your support is greatly appreciated. See how you can become a patron and request future video topics in the description below.